Oh, it's that time again to listen to your two favorite gentlemen. It is Road Dogg and Casio, and you're listening to...
Oh, you didn't know? You better ask somebody. Oh, sorry, that was an old
Keep going.
one. No, I forgot the words because I was going to say me and K Quick, and you're not him. For several reasons, I know.
Sure.
Right off the get-go. But hey, how are you, Casio Kid? How are you doing this week?
Doing excellent. How are you this week?
You know what? I read online that you and I have great chemistry.
Do we?
And well, that's what I read online. It's on it's on the line.
Well, then it's true.
It's got to be true.
It's true.
It's like I read it on The Wire. It was out on The Wire.
Right before that, I read some guy left when Cats did. So it's all good. It evens out. You know
okay.
what I mean? We need
that one guy, we actually talked to him, and it was kind of a mutual thing. It was best. It was best that we parted ways, or something bad was going to happen with him.
Actually wrong.
I remember.
It was Cats.
Yeah, I remember him specifically. Richard Hertz was his name, I think.
Yes.
Wait, so yeah, look, I'm doing great. Goats are all doing great. Pigs are doing well.
You have goats and pigs?
I have goats and pigs.
How many goats?
So I probably have upwards of 20 goats. I haven't counted them in a while.
Woo!
But I have different breeds of goats. And now I'm trying to breed miniature dwarf goats, if that's such a thing. But I'm doing it naturally. Bluechew's a sponsor, so we just throw it in with their feed and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Do you have fainting goats?
No, well, they do now. They do now. Their heart skips a beat. No, I don't have any of those fainting goats, but I tried to talk my wife into getting some. But yeah, we got some pigs too.
How many
pot-bellied pigs? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 pigs.
Full grown.
Oh, well, no, one of them's little. One of them's
one little bacon seed.
What's her name? Petunia. No, that ain't her name. The other huge one's name is Petunia. Oh, I call her a Piggly Wiggly because we just had a new Piggly Wiggly open down the road, and it was a big deal. And they got a great buffet. You just go in there anytime you want. Load up on some vegetables. Oh no, what I don't eat, they get though, and so they're thankful. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, I love it. I love waking up and sitting on my back porch and hearing the goats and seeing them all play around in the sun and in the grass and stuff. It's just cool. You know what I mean? It brings keeps my feet on the ground and my heart in heaven. Anyway, hey, what are we going to talk about today other than my goats and pigs? Probably nothing is interesting, to be quite honest. Oh, well, you're right. It was more interesting.
That one got some traction. Yeah, that one got some traction.
Yeah, I got a little play. Got a little please, as we say in the biz.
Today.
It's weird that when you really do stupid stuff, that gets the most attention. Like,
right, not all the good stuff you did?
No. And look, I'm not sure that there was any of that either. I'm just saying that the stupid stuff you did were like, whoa, you remember you did that? Yeah, he dove off the building and landed on the concrete.
We do 2-hour podcast. All they remember is you peed in somebody's hand. That's it. 2 hours.
Well, hey, it was a headline in their defense. Yeah, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about?
Well, one of the first shows we've discussed when you were the head writer of SmackDown, Hell in a Cell 2017, baby. Huh?
Yeah, look,
this is talking about all the good stuff you did.
This is, in my mind and in my opinion, really good stuff I did. Not that I did. I will clarify and verify that I was a part of. Because believe you me, I could have one good idea about a decent finish or something, and without somebody to help me write the story arc and the week by week and all that stuff, it's just out there in the ether. So it's a collaboration for sure with not only the writing team, but the performers themselves. And so this was a really positive time in my life, and I'm glad I was present for it.
Random question, just to know the business a little bit. At this time, what's ballpark? How many writers are on the staff working on SmackDown?
On SmackDown, probably 5.
Okay.
It was just, look, we were. So this was, and I'm not sure about timelines. They always trip me up, and so I don't want anybody to quote me. Don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said. Was just SmackDown was either just now moving to we were taping Tuesday night normally, or going live. We went live Tuesday, then moved to Friday, I believe. I got hit in the head a lot. So this was in between that time where SmackDown, like I think we went Tuesday live. Does anybody know? Look down here. Hungry for bacon now. There she goes. There she goes. I'm looking for somebody to bring. Plus, yes, Tuesday live. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And so it was, look, but I wanted to stress so much it was a collaboration that I lost myself in expression. Wow. What about that? I brought it all back and ended up like Bob Ross with a pretty little tree.
Look at you.
Yeah.
That's how you wrap a bow on
I mean,
that.
seriously, look at me. For the love of God, I look like I'm an inch from death. I look like I got 1 foot in the grave. I look like Sean Connery. No, I don't look like Sean Connery. I look like the actor on Saturday Night Live who played Sean Connery when he was like, that's your mother, Trebek, that's your mother, Casio kid.
You do.
Yeah, I look like that guy. Not even the
Darryl
actual
Hammond
guy. Yeah, Darryl Hammond.
Incredible.
Anyway, I don't know where we were going with that. Let's talk about SmackDown. What do you?
Let's talk about Hell in a Cell.
Stay focused, Casio.
At the time during the brand extension, you could go months between pay-per-view or premium live events or whatever it's called at this moment. How hard is it to keep
PLEs, dog? It starts here. It starts here. We get it right. Premium live events.
Premium live events.
Yeah. Let's not mess that up again, or I'll come through the screen.
Let me highlight that. Got the highlighter.
Daryl Hammond, you son of
PLEs. It is.
I'm sorry. Continue.
At this time, you're going months between premium live events. How hard is it to keep compelling TV going when you have or need 8 weeks or so between a big event?
Yeah. Well, look, it's very difficult, especially when you get used to the 4-week model where you could have recap on Monday of what happened yesterday on the pay-per-view or this weekend on the pay-per-view. Then you can start a new story that night and really dig into it on week 2. And then you just have week 3 and the go home show to kind of create for. And when you get into 8 weeks of that, it does get, especially if you feel the need to represent that talent and that story every week, it gets problematic the longer you have to tell that story. And so, look, especially when you're limited, I would say limited as to what you could do on television and in those periods of time, because look, a lot of times people are hurt, you can't work, so there's limitations even then. And so on 8-week build, holy mackerel, what are you doing on week 7? And it sounds easy, but I assure you it is not. I know a lot of armchair quarterbacks go, yeah, I could do that all day. Yeah, you could do that all day, but you have to do it 365 all days. So
it's a continuing thing. It's not
we
got one in the books. Let's wait till next week.
All right, let's see what happens next week. I remember during this period of time, I would literally watch the show go down, and it'd be as I imagined, as I envisioned and executed well and everything. Oh, we did it right. And I would text my lead writer, co-lead writer, and go like, how do we top that? And what do we do next week? And it was literally the conversation was starting as the show went off the air to like, what's the headline out of this week? And what do you start off with next week? And, and so, so it's a never ending story. But it's wrestling and I love wrestling. And so I don't know.
Speaking of wrestling, coming out of SummerSlam from Brooklyn, Jinder Mahal retained his WWE title over Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ Styles retained the U.S. title over Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
With Shane McMahon as special guest referee. Natalya won the WWE SmackDown Women's title over Naomi. The Usos defeated the New Day on the pre-show to win the WWE SmackDown tag titles.
Yep.
And Randy Orton had defeated Rusev. That's a lot of title matches on the SmackDown side.
Yeah.
Is that too many, or is that, hey, that's a good show we got?
Well, so what was that the plug for? Was that like SummerSlam, or was that, what was that for?
That was coming out of SummerSlam, yeah.
Okay. But those are the matches that we're heading into at this HIAC, the Hell in the Cell.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm
That's
confused.
what we just did, right? That's going into Hell in a Cell.
Okay,
yes.
okay, cool. So have we had? Is this the first time we had? And Derek, you're gonna have to help me on this. Somebody. Is this the first time we had Usos New Day inside Hell in the Cell?
Coming up?
Yes.
When we finally get to there?
So yeah. When we get to there, and I know we're not there yet. I just want to try to wrap my brain around the time frame of when we're talking about. I'm sorry. Yes, it is a ton of titles. So SmackDown, this was the new shiny object for the WWE. It was live, and we were going, and how do we do this? And now we're going to have separate brand specific premium live events. You know what I mean? So yeah, I remember I kept it uniform. So we have these PLEs, and so we had, I thought we had a great show. I thought we had all those champions. Let's put them on there. Now, when you have a television show and you're just going to write a weekly television show, I wouldn't have all those titles represented on there. You know what I mean? You might have the women's title and the tag titles or something else. And then the next week you'll represent that. So yeah, it's a lot of titles, but if you think about it, it's not a lot of titles for a brand specific, for just SmackDown. It was a women's title. It was a US title. It was a world title. It was, the same titles that everybody has now. So I don't think it was too many. There was just a lot on that card. And I felt like it was we had to throw our A game because we were looked at as the B show.
So you wanted to get eyes there, and that's how you do it.
That's my thinking anyway. Good, right, wrong, or indifferent.
What is between SmackDown and Raw? Is there a competition? Are you focused on, hey, we got to, like you said, how do we top that? We got to work against ourselves, basically.
Well, so yeah, no, look, there's definitely a competition. And if there's not, I don't think you're cut out for the job, because it's definitely friendly. It's definitely professional, rivalry. And I'll never forget, and we're going to touch on this, but I'll never forget the first time SmackDown ever beat Raw in the ratings when I was a writer there, and it was announced, you know what I mean? And it was cool, and it made me feel good. Now it's a drop of water in a monsoon, you know what I mean? Because it don't mean nothing, because we got to do it again next week, and the next week we didn't do it again. So you know what I mean? But I wore that as a badge of honor for 7 days. You know what I mean? Yeah. You just can't you can't wrap your arms and hang on to little victories like that, because they really don't mean anything in the big picture.
You scored, but they keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah. That's how and that's how you do it, right? That's the business. They should be trying to beat me too. And that way we put on the best show possible. And of course we work with each other too, if we're going to have other talent from there or whatever, and during Survivor Series or whatever. So like it was to say it was not competition would be disingenuous. But it wasn't like a rivalry, you know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, on SmackDown we're doing this. We might do that first or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh crap. So yeah, it was more ribbing on the square and trying literal one-upsmanship than like a rivalry, you know.
There's been some talk over time about the Jinder Mahal run with the title and how it was done to expand the business in India.
Yeah,
was the original reason for his title run? Was that it, and what did you think of Jinder as champion?
So look, I was the lead writer of the show. I love Jinder. I loved the fact that we got the Bollywood boys, the Singh brothers, in there with them. Like, I don't know. I loved the package. What I don't know the behind the scenes stuff, and I can't tell you. But it's not about getting the directions and go, oh my God, I know how to do it better than this. It's about getting the directions and going, okay, how do we get there? let's follow these directions. And so we followed those directions. And whether it was a business decision, novel idea here, that's what business people do, is make business decisions that where the facts don't give a poop about your feelings, and they make business decisions. If this was one of those situations, what is it? What is wrong with that? Like, why wouldn't you do that? I don't know that to be the situation, and I'm being dead honest with you. I have no idea. I do think it was a bit of a experiment that actually proved okay. Like, wasn't the end of the world. It was, and I love the unit, the package, the discrete package of like I said, the Bollywood boys and Jinder. I don't know, man. I loved it. I thought we did we did great television around his championship title reign, and I'd argue that with anybody.
The Singh brothers would cost Nakamura his title match at SummerSlam, and SmackDown general manager Daniel Bryan would give Nakamura a handicap match against both as retribution. What did you think of the Singhs? You kind of hit on it, but what did you think of the Singhs in that role with Jinder?
Well, look, I loved it. And I love it when you have a heel champion with a insurance policy. And so those gentlemen were always there to get him out of anything, to take bumps for him, to do that. They were perfect for the part. They were in great shape and wrestlers, but they weren't as big as Jinder. So Jinder looked majestic standing over him. I thought it was beautiful. I really did. And so you could argue like, oh, he's not good enough to be champ. Well, that's people arguing that are watching every week, no matter what anyway. And I'm not trying to convince you anything, because I can't, quite honestly. Like you're dug in, you know what I mean? Yeah. If you're watching every week and you're worried about if he's having 5-star matches, you're dug in. I ain't trying to sell it to you. I'm trying to sell it to the person that's in the kitchen behind you, maybe that just walks behind the TV every now and then, the lapsed fan or the new viewer. And man, you can't argue with trying to get how many billions of new viewers. Like, I don't understand why that's frowned upon, if it is.
Right. Hey, I hope we're big in India, because that means we're big.
Me too.
We want this podcast. We want everything to be big there.
Dang right. Hey, look, I love naan bread. I love curry. I love that. What's that? Butter chicken.
Come on now. Come on now.
Come on.
Speaking of Jinder, I briefly got to just say hey to him and meet him in New Orleans for Mania. Big dude. Like you said, they made him look big.
Hey, super
big dude, and
huge
ripped.
Guy. Ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
6'6" probably. You know what I mean? Like, he's a huge man. And I don't know. If it was an experiment, if it was done for business reasons, like whatever, like what did it hurt? Like, it didn't hurt anything. I think it helped. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the reign. And again, I think we had good TV shows around him.
Our cracked crew has just told us, Dog, 1% of our YouTube views are from India. I say we get that to 2%.
Let's see if we can't buck it on up to 2.
Can we get Jinder on the show?
I might can get Jinder, or I know I can get a Bollywood boy on here.
Come on.
I know
we need to get it to 2.
It may not be one of those original ones, but I get
It'll be somebody. It'll be somebody.
No, yeah. So 1%. Cool. That's cool. Hey,
we're going to bump it. We're going to bump it.
Hey, nowhere to go but up.
Let's talk about, we mentioned general manager Daniel Bryan at the time. What was Bryan like to work with back then? He wasn't cleared or back from his injury, but still in an on-air role. What was Daniel Bryan like in the GM role?
Yeah, he was great. He was always great. And what I love about Daniel, especially even in this role, like, and it could be looked at and perceived as frustrating at times, but it never was, because it was always from a good place. He fought for things on the show when he had no like creative control. He had no, you know what I mean? He had no say so, but he would come in and fight for things that he believed in, and kind of bury the things he didn't believe in. And look, I applaud that, because while the doctor said you can't play, he said, no, I still can. I'm going to do it this way. You know what I mean? And so it was so cool to see his passion coming through in that avenue, and then it went on into talking smack and all that stuff. Like I think he really flourished during that time. And then of course I loved when he came back and won the title, and we made the hemp title and all that. That was
incredible.
That was all incredible stuff, if you ask me.
AJ Styles would reinstate the open challenge for the U.S. title, but Kevin Owens attempts to get another shot, and AJ refuses since he was just defeated at SummerSlam. Owens says it was because of Shane McMahon being a referee that he lost, and this will begin the Owens and Shane build to Hell in a Cell. When Shane is involved, how different is the creative process?
It's different. I mean, but look, it's different the way if you worked at a plumbing place and the boss's son worked with you. Right. You know what I mean? That's as different as it is. So you're gonna act a little differently. You know what I mean? You're gonna perform a little differently, but not, the process didn't change at all. Does Shane have say so, and does he say so? Yeah. And but every talent does. I just told you about Daniel Bryan having it, and he wasn't even working. And so this was honestly, Shane was no different than any talent I had to work with. Everything. He doesn't have the final say, but he does have a say. You know what I mean? And so that's very important under the Vince regime. I don't know what else to say, so I'm just calling it the old regime and the new regime. But the under Vince's regime, talents, feelings and thoughts were very important, and people, argue that that's not the case on the interwebs, but very important. And he would literally get hot at you if you didn't have their feedback. When you came back, if you had something different or a new suggestion, you'd better got talent's thoughts on this before you came to me. And so that was instilled in my head. So look, I just like Shane was talent, he had say so as well, just not final say so.
The Usos promised the entire SmackDown tag team division that they're the best team in the WWE. Was this really when the Usos started to come into their own in your eyes?
Well, 100%. It's when I really wanted to look. I've always been huge fans of their father, of their whole family, their cousins, the bloodline, the literal bloodline. Always been a fan. Lived here with many of them. Rikishi Jr. When me and him were in the Attitude Era, we flew out of Pensacola together all the time, and so we go way back. They're Samoans, and my father worked this territory, and so we go way back. Our families do, and I love those guys. And what I saw was two young kids who could cut an awesome freestyle feel rap promo kind of thing. It's like I'm 53 and white, so I don't know what it's called, but somebody cool would probably go, oh, yeah, that's such and such. But like they could just cut a promo in a cadence and step on each other and do it, like, so cool, man. Matter of fact, Solo Sikoa, when he first got to, the first promo I ever heard him cut at NXT was just like that, and I was blown away. And I thought, well, I don't know why he's here. Like, I don't know why. I guess he could spend a year here. Okay, cool, we'll use him. They're just that good. You know what I mean? And so I thought we're going to utilize them like they're that good. And they proved everybody right. You know what I mean? That thought they were that good. And so I think some of the best stuff I've ever seen tag team wise has been New Day and the Usos. And I know it gets redundant seeing them wrestle so many times, but I don't ever get sick of it. And that's for dang sure. I don't ever go like, oh, them again. Like, no, it seems like they raise the bar every time I see them.
Even if somebody's against the storyline, you watch the match and it's a good match.
Yeah. And that because that's, look, I believe storylines and characters sell the tickets. Wrestling's cool too. You know what I mean? Like, I like wrestling too. And I liked wrestling #1 as well. No, I liked wrestling, wrestling also, but it's just like, I want to see some cool wrestling, but that's not why I'm tuning in. You know what I mean? And again, that's just my philosophy I'm giving you. So when I go, you can write my memoir.
He loved wrestling, but not as much as promo.
And only 1% of his audience from YouTube audience was from India.
Natalya goes on a quest to restore dignity to the women's division. Natalya has been there for what feels like forever, but when a division needs a reset, it feels like she's the one pushed to the forefront. Why do you think that is?
She's the Iron Sheik, baby. No, she's no, but she's dependable.
Yeah.
Like she has, because she's been there so long. Not that's not why she's dependable, but that's part of the reason she's been there so long. And so I think it's a great, and I don't want to call it a stopgap, because I don't think that's fair. I do think that's what Sheik was. I don't think that's what she is. I think she's a formidable opponent that, like, you can never say like, oh, she doesn't deserve a title match. Like,
right.
Stinking Natalya, you know what I mean? She's no doubt a Hall of Famer, member of the Hart family, and the whole deal. And so, I think it's always a great. It might be can be seen as a crutch. Excuse me. The longer she stays, and the more times you use that to put it on her, stabilize it, reset. We're going with this woman now, or whatever. So I think it's a great place to put it. And of course I would. I did it.
What a great role to be in. If the company trusts you every time they need somebody,
I need somebody to be the champion, you're it. Like I'll play tag that way all day.
Aiden English helps Rusev defeat Randy Orton in just 10 seconds on SmackDown to help build for Hell in a Cell. Is it hard to convince Orton to lose in 10 seconds, or is he always just professional and ready to do what he needs to do?
Randy's such a pro that he was probably happy as a pig in poop to be done in 10 seconds.
You don't have to work as much.
Right. That's what a pro Randy Orton is, because he realizes that's not the meat and potatoes, man. The what happens between the bell, what happens, the holy mackerel aspect came out of the cheat and the quick victory, and like, oh my God, they screwed him over. Like, to me, that's the heat. You know what I mean? And Randy knows that, and Randy knows we're going to a pay-per-view where I'm going to either get mine back or at least get a great payday for having a great match on a pay-per-view. Randy's a true pro. And Randy, while he may have a suggestion, again, just like any other talent, just like any other talent, me included, may have a suggestion and may try to make it a little better. And sometimes it happens to be better for them. You know what I mean? And so that's where you need a mitigator to go like, hey, I get that. And if I was you, I'd want to do that too, but we're trying to do this. And so you need somebody to talk to people. Look, Randy was never that way. He just wasn't. Randy, I also came in on the tail end of Randy. You know what I mean? On the really sweet side of Randy. And that sounds funny, but Randy is a different man. And he was a different man then. And so he's really a different man now. Wisdom comes with age, and youth is wasted on the young. And so Randy continues to learn about this industry, and that's why he can continue to grow and reinvent himself and continue to be one of the biggest stars in the industry. You know what I mean? Like, Randy's a pro.
Looking back at it as a fan watching it, Rusev and Aiden English together have incredible crowd support. They seem over with everybody. But they got Rusev Day. Everything's rocking and rolling. They kind of got stuck in the mid card. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't think a lot of people were behind Aiden English from the get-go, and I think it was totally about his looks, because if it was about anything else, you would know he's extremely talented. He's
you mean people with the company?
Yeah. I think, and so he's extremely talented, great on the mic. He works now with Impact as a commentator and is really good at it. Did that at NXT for a while. So I think it was, I just, the only thing I can think of was, like something political or something personal. And that shouldn't surprise anybody. That shouldn't anger anybody. Stuff happens behind the scenes where people change their perception of you. I'm not saying that happened in this situation, but I'm saying it does happen. And it does happen a lot in every company, where all of a sudden you were in and now you ain't in no more. And that happens sometimes. And it can happen for any reason. And I'm afraid that's what was happening here. And that's the deepest I'm going to dig into it. But I tried to normalize it because I do think it's normal. I do think it's very normal in every job. If Dunkin' Donuts, the manager, Richard Hertz doesn't like the morning shift guy, he ain't gonna put him on no shift with him. You know what I mean? And so that's just how it works. And so right, wrong, or indifferent, I believe that's what was going on here.
At the time, NXT and the WWE Network, the Mae Young Classic takes place for the first time.
Yeah.
Are you involved in that creatively, or is that all Hunter?
So, look, I don't think it was all Hunter either. It was more in his wheelhouse at this time, for sure. And I was more about the main roster, SmackDown specifically. But yeah, look, that was NXT writing team, young NXT writing team that was also putting on a weekly episodic show, whether it was on television or streaming. They were also doing that all while trying to do this. And look at some of the talent that came up in this one. And
Incredible.
you have the list of names. I can see a few, but man, what a great roster of women, and what a time in women's wrestling. Like, it was really, it felt equal for the first time. And that's, I feel bad saying that. I feel dirty. Like, I need to take a shower. but like, it felt like we were focusing on them in order to make sure they were getting equal spotlight. And I feel like we were doing that, and we started doing that. We had to build up the rosters, and what a great way to build up those rosters than with these Mae Young Classics,
Like you mentioned, if you're watching on our YouTube, we threw up a picture of that back in the day. The likes of Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Doudrop, Lacey Evans, Serena Deeb, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and many others.
Wow.
That's pretty incredible. And
that's about the most important women in professional wrestling right now.
Yeah. And you see it now, as they should. You see them promote, I was in the Mae Young Classic. I mean, that's a good thing to have on your resume.
And look, it's while it's a lot of wrestling and some injuries occur there, it is great content. And look, I would argue you could probably sell it to a television network, but I think you're going to want to go with streaming, and maybe it's additional content on Peacock or whatever. But it's great content, and it lets you see a ton of uncharted talent that's out there. You know what I mean? That you don't know about, that you haven't seen. First time I saw Rhea Ripley, like, she was this tall, long, blonde-haired Australian girl. And if you look at a picture of her now and a picture of her then, like, it was not Rhea Ripley. But that's my point, is that was our introduction to her.
Yeah.
And man, what a character, and has grown from that time, and so I don't know, man. I talk about her a lot because I think I love her work. She's long and strong, so she moves across the ring easily, like quickly and easily and gracefully, like a stinking gazelle. And works hard and hits hard and likes to be hit hard. And so I don't know. I'm a Rhea Ripley guy.
Well,
I'm a Fergal McDevitt guy, but Rhea Ripley, like, maybe has a spot on the back of the shirt.
They'd be a good match together.
Yeah, dang right they would.
Speaking
Fergal works snug.
Does he? What about Richard Hertz?
Richard Hertz, to beat. Hey, he's not hard to beat at all.
Really?
You just got to talk sweet to him.
I mean, he's a little slow at the beginning, but strong finisher.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, strong finisher. Speaking of talent, the unseen, and we're introducing ourselves to them in this tournament. Are you watching this looking for talent to SmackDown, or is that handled some way else?
Yeah, that's not. I mean, look, I definitely watching this, definitely looking at all the talent that's on display, and definitely have an ear for if I think one stands out. And I thought a couple stood out, and I said so. Not that mattered, but because I think it was ones that stood out. You know what I mean? Kind of everybody was like, she stood out. And so and it's kind of the rundown that you just ran down a minute ago was kind of the list that everybody went like, holy mackerel. And look, it was also like, holy mackerel, this girl was good, but didn't stand out like that girl did. I'd love to hire her and see where we go. And that was the way they were going for a while. And again, this pulled the curtain back on a ton of unseen talent, especially in the women's division.
Shelton Benjamin returns to the company to tag with Chad Gable. Are you pushing for Shelton to come back? Or is this we signed Shelton, now we got to figure out what to do with him type of thing?
So, look, I wanted to personally hire some people back that I would call carpenters. And I would say that, and I may be using it wrong because I'm not old enough to use it correctly. But in the industry, a carpenter is, from what I understand, is a guy who can do anything. My brother, Brad Armstrong, was a carpenter. Put him in there with anybody, has a great match. He can win. It makes sense. He can lose. It makes sense. And so I again, if I'm using that terminology wrong, somebody correct me, but that's how I'm going to say it. And I'm a fat old wrestler, so shut up. So look, also, Brian Myers was a guy I brought back in, Shelton Benjamin, and I say and that's not fair. I didn't bring anybody in, but we had a sit down about bringing a few guys in that if something catches on, if him and Gable would have caught on and that would have been the best team ever, like holy mackerel, we look what we brought him back and we got lucky. But if we brought him back and he just has great matches with some of our younger guys, that's lucky too. And so really we just needed some really good workers that could have great matches with anybody. And there weren't a whole long list out there. And so these were some of the guys we were bringing in that I know for a fact he can have great matches. It's just us writing and him working and us catching lightning in a bottle with a Shelton Benjamin or a Brian Myers for that matter, to where something will take off and it'll be successful. I don't know why I'm spitting all over you and yelling at you, Casio, but I'm passionate about Shelton Benjamin.
I like it. Talking Smack is canceled from the WWE network at the time.
I know.
Why do you think the company moved away from that show with Bryan and Renee Young?
Because it simply was not worth it. It was a business decision where handling shipping that big desk, you have to stay later, and so the people get paid for overtime, and you know what I mean. It's logistically it did not work, and so and it wasn't doing great numbers. Like people talk about it a lot because it was really good. Like it was really good alternate content where people got to express themselves sometimes a little differently than they did on the television show. And that's the interesting part. That's what makes it now like a cult following. Like, oh my God, that thing was great. Yeah, but none of you were watching it when it was on, or else it have stayed on. You know what I mean? So
this is the restaurant that announces it's closing and everybody lines up to eat there, and you're like,
hey,
where
wait,
we all?
What? I love that place.
Yeah, we're closing because you didn't eat here. Yeah, so appreciate y'all joining us.
We have to have revenue. It has to match. It has to match the outgoing revenue, and then some, hopefully. But yeah, it just didn't do well. And look, I will reiterate. I thought it was great because it was a little bit off the cuff. It was a little bit of guys knowing what stories they were in, because we made sure of that, and they wouldn't go off, out of bounds, but they would push it. They would push the limits, and people like that, man. So, some of the best work I ever seen Miz and Daniel Bryan do was literally off the cuff, not one word, rehearsed or any of that. That was all natural, man. And what a real moment of what just happened there. And that, like it was, and so look, so few people were watching it at the time. It was like, well, we should do something about that. And Vince said, about what? And it was like this thing that happened on and he said, oh, where, 40,000 people watched, like, oh yeah, we should really do something about that. And he's right. You know what I mean? Like he's not wrong about that. But it almost got canceled as quick as it was getting hot. You know what I mean? Like it felt like if they would have just held on, maybe there was a way to monetize it somehow. And I don't know. You know what I mean?
In my opinion, which who cares? But I think a little
right. Who cares?
Right.
But go ahead and say it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to still shove it down everybody's face. A little of that happens in AEW. They have the YouTube series Being the Elite, and I think sometimes on TV they bring in storylines from there, and I think they forget that not everybody is watching the YouTube show every single day and every single week, and it's to your point. Yeah, it's a great thing, but nobody saw the storyline part of it, so it's hard to build on it to the masses.
You're not talking to your whole audience. You know what I mean? You're talking to a small vocal portion of it, but it's not your audience. And so, look, I'm just
sounds like we could be talking about Twitter too.
I'm just glad I don't have to watch on Wednesday night anymore. Continue.
It is. This is your favorite way to start a sentence. It's reported in the Observer that the talk at the time was to try and make the New Day the most decorated tag team in company history by eclipsing the Dudley's mark of 9 tag team title reigns. Do you remember that being something that was talked about?
No, I remember, look, stuff like that I hear, I'm just like, really? You think we would put the titles on somebody? Because when we were booking, we went, oh my God, you know who we should really put it to? Bubba and Devon. You know what I mean? Like that it's just the craziest stuff. I see stuff like that all the time. Like, look, has that ever been said before where, oh my God, I'd love, as a rib on the square or whatever, like, oh, put it on them just so we can get it off the Dudleys or whatever. Like, has that ever been said in the world? Maybe. You know what I mean? We're a cynical gaggle, wrestlers and writers and so forth. And so, but no, heavens no, would we ever put a title on someone or take a title off someone to beat somebody's record? Like, I don't know. That's just, unless that was the story, of course. You know what I mean? Like, now the story is he's going to beat his record, and you utilize that for promotion. Like, I don't know. I always see stuff like that.
We're breaking out a title reign.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I don't even see that as that big a deal, but maybe some people do.
Charlotte misses some TV with her father, Ric Flair, in the hospital due to a life-threatening issue.
Yep.
Are you made aware she should be off TV from her or talent relations? How does that work?
Yeah, this is a little inside baseball, but when it comes to family, WWE has always been a family first. And so literally she could be in the main event. She could be in the first 3 segments. She could be all over the show. And this happens and you get the note, you won't have her. And that's that. Figure it out. You know what I mean? And you, of course you understand it because I've been in her shoes. And I think everybody has been in one way, shape or form where family should come first and I need to be there right now. You know what I mean? And if you don't understand that, then I don't know what we're doing talking. You should just lay down in traffic.
When you're head writer of SmackDown, how does it work with Raw? Are you expected to go? Are you watching? How does that end of the creative process work? How does that intertwine together?
Yeah. So for a while I was going to both. And then when it really separated and it really separated and moved to Tuesday Live. And like, I stopped going to Raw and started showing up Tuesday and would then go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to the office. So I for a while I was going to all the TVs and all the pay-per-views, and then it kind of switched to where I would just go to the SmackDown, the Blue brand, premium live events. I said pay-per-views earlier, and I apologize. I prostrate myself before you, and I beg your forgiveness.
Prostrate myself. I've never prostrated myself in front of anybody.
Oh, you should try it. And I mean, pick like an elderly gentleman.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Start old. Yeah, not young. At this time, John Cena is placed on Raw after firmly being on SmackDown.
Yeah.
What do you remember about this? I know it sucks for you.
Just the fact that I was pissed. Well, and look, I think truth be told, at the time, it felt like Raw needed that. So if I'm being honest, I was selfishly angry about it because holy mackerel, to have John Cena on SmackDown, it's a 2-hour show weekly. I don't even have to have him on every week. I could promote him once every 2 months and hit a number. You know what I mean? Like it was a dream come true. I just agreed with the business decision of, yeah, they might need him. You know what I mean? And so right, wrong, or indifferent, again, the facts don't give a poop about your feelings. This is what's happening. Adapt and overcome.
August 29th, the first SmackDown after SummerSlam does 2.4 million viewers, 2.455 to be exact.
Yeah.
Were ratings analyzed in the office as they are on the internet? Are you going over those in meetings? Do you look at paperwork?
So we definitely go through analytics and we dig into analytics sometimes, and it's just real hard to figure out old man Nielsen and his rating system. It's difficult. Even if you have the minute by minutes, the second by second, the whole deal, you can dig as deep as you want to, but you can't find out why at this moment, sometimes in the middle of a match, 100,000 people turned to another channel. You know what I mean? Like and you go like, okay, well, was it the match? Was it the spot in the match? Were they boring? Were they, you know what I mean? And you start second guessing and questioning yourself, and it's a fight in futility, man. It's not
overanalyzed.
So yeah, it's way overanalyzing. So do we? Yes. Should we? Yeah. Okay. We should have somebody that does. Right. And we do. And you know, even those people who do all the analyzing of the analytics can't tell you, oh, this person is a turnoff, because I could show you exact opposite,
on a different show.
Yeah, on a different show where that same person killed it. You know what I mean? And so it's so hard to figure out, but yeah, we get into it and we talk about it. And this is what I was talking about, where there was it came out and was like, hey, this was a big deal. And it was like, it made me feel good for a second. But then, like is always said, that was yesterday. and today ain't going to book itself. And so what are we doing? And that's the nature of the beast, man. Just so happens I love this beast.
By the way, 2.455 million more than they drew on Fox last week. How about that? You were killing it.
What?
How about that?
Yeah, that is interesting. That's an interesting number, because that's pretty high. I didn't realize.
Speaking of the number, it's got to be. I mean, look, SmackDown being on Tuesday, coming off a long WWE weekend, beginning with the NXT Takeover, then SummerSlam, then Raw, then SmackDown. How do you even have an audience after all that?
I mean, especially to draw that number. How do you draw that number after all that? And look, I would like to see what we did on that SmackDown, that episode. Like, what was Cena there for the first time? Was, you know what I mean? Like what? And even then, you can't pinpoint.
Right.
This is what it was. He did this. You know what I mean? You could go, okay, but also it was a crappy game on football. It was this or that, whatever, you know? And so there's so many variables that it'll make you go cuckoo.
There's also talk of WWE Europe show coming, which will eventually be WWE NXT UK.
Yes,
there was a lot of brand extension talk at this time, wasn't there? You remember that?
Quincy Elliott. Ain't nothing cuter than a boy and his scooter. Sorry, I'm a huge Quincy Elliott fan. And what a finish. What a finish.
Do we need a t-shirt with just a boy on a scooter now?
Maybe.
Ain't nothing cuter than just have a boy on a scooter.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it running.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
WWE NXT UK. Are y'all talking about brand extension? Or are you focused on the
Well, look, I'm focused on SmackDown as the lead writer should. And it's, like I said earlier, it ain't easy, and it's a weekly grind, and you need, people go like, oh God, why do you need all those writers? Well, because if you write yourself, you're going to write in a bubble, and it's going to get not good, and it's going to get that way quick. Yeah. Hashtag AEW. Go ahead.
Of course, WWE Europe, Fergal McDivitt.
Fergal McDivitt was the first champion, I think.
Huge there, I believe so.
Yeah. His finish was the Ben Doon and Phil McCracken.
The Scooter Magooter. We need him on a scooter.
I want to see Otto Vaughn's on a scooter. Somebody's got a picture of that somewhere. Let's keep rolling though. Let's keep rolling though.
Dolph Ziggler returns and cuts a promo about how his career had been a waste up until that point, and winning the world championship doesn't make you successful. And now he's going to be all flash and no substance. Does this make the world championship look bad? Shouldn't that be everyone's goal? Or is this, hey, this is his character at the time?
So this is what I think we all agreed and still agree, that this was like an experiment. Like, let's see what we can do with Dolph that's different than we've done before. Look, I think it's one of those that failed, because I think it was like he took away his entrance and his music, and so it was really weird and different, and like it got your attention, but I'm not sure it got it in a good way. And so it's just one of those things where everything's been done, so you try something different, and sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. That was from no fault of Dolph Ziggler. Dolph is always, he's always worked really hard at what he does. So I can't, we're not blaming that on him. That was creative decisions that were wrong.
Also at this time, Carmella and James Ellsworth.
Oh yeah.
Vince has got to love this. Do you remember?
Hey, so this is, and you can analyze this all you want to, Jack. This is some of the stuff that creative decisions are made and they work or they don't. This one, I knew in my head and heart wasn't going to work, and the ratings went up every time we used Ellsworth. and so like we had him going for the title and all kind of stuff. And it was almost like, let's see how far we're willing to go. And the truth be told was Twitter was hating life. I mean, they hated my life. They wanted me to take it. And some of them wanted to take it. However, it's just phony baloney wrestling. Let's not get all hot and bothered about it, please. But the proof is in the pudding. The ratings were going up with him in this story with AJ and Dean Ambrose at the time. And like, I don't know, man, it wasn't bad television. It was just out of the norm.
Lana is put with Tamina to help give Tamina a rub. I know it's hard to recreate how quickly Lana and Rusev got over and how hot it ended up being, but why was there never a real consistent role for Lana after that, you think?
Look, this is one of those things where I feel like she rubbed some people the wrong way.
Okay.
And look, she was underutilized. I agree with that 100%. She could wrestle pretty good. Like, is she going to go with Bianca or Asuka or Charlotte or Becky or any of these that are great workers? Like, no, but she can dang sure have a match, and she's dang sure an eye full when she stands there at ringside. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think she was underutilized, and that you can say that's on me. And I'll take that heat, but I feel like I had a great relationship with those two, but I feel like not everybody did, and I felt like that came back a little bit. You know what I mean? Came back to bite her.
One of the real highlights at the time was the Fashion Files with Breezango. How much fun were they to shoot with? Who wrote their stuff?
So very. What was the show that was on? That they.
The Fashion Files?
You know, that they kind of went into. It's that one TV show that was on about in Canada or whatever. Somebody's going to type it up here any minute. They did the. I don't know. Never mind. You can cut all that part out, or just suck it. But
both. Let's do both.
So there was some show that was on that was. It was.
Are they ripping off a show?
They started
ripping
to.
Off, but
they started to.
Okay.
They started getting into McDermott.
Project Runway.
Not Forensic Files.
Forensic Files.
Yes, no, not Forensic Files. However, I do love Forensic Files, and they know that at the Hyatt. Just so you're aware. They know that at the Hyatt. Do you like forensic files, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you know that? Like, we are very, we go deep in our
We've
analysis.
already got it on when you check in.
Man, I can't believe I drew a blank on that show. But anyway, so Steve Guerreri was the writer and loved the television show that was an old one, and then they just did a reboot of it.
Like a reality show or like a sitcom?
No, it's a weird I don't really know because I never watched the show, but not the Rockford Files. Trailer Park Boys. No, that's the show I star in.
Letterkenny.
No, so anyway, Steve Guerreri wrote it. It was great. He was a great writer. He loved this show, so that's why they started going into a little bit of that. But look, it was very hard to get them on television.
Just not enough time? What do you mean?
No. It was hard to convince all above me, everyone, that this was worth 2 minutes of time on their television show, that this was worth 1 minute of time on their television show. 45 seconds I would have to finagle. But look, I didn't get it either. I really didn't. Some of it I got. Some of it was so sophomoric that I got it. Some of it was a little smarter humor, and that's when I felt like it. That was when I felt like it went, okay, now we're not putting this on TV anymore. But it was smart humor, and it was tied to this show, Twin Peaks.
The Fergal Files. Twin Peaks is what you were looking for this whole time?
Twin Peaks.
Oh, I would have never got
not
there.
the show. I mean, not the restaurant.
Restaurant. David Lynch.
Yes.
There you go.
And so actually they like the highlight of our time while writing that was the people from Twin Peaks actually commented on, because they kept kind of putting Easter eggs in there from the show. And then they kind of commented on it, and all the writers were like, oh my God. It was cool. It was very cool.
Speaking of Easter eggs, Road Dogg.
Yep.
Oh, you didn't know it was brought to you by our friends Manscaped.
Oh,
how about that?
What's that? Yeah, I have an Easter egg design. That's where the correlation was. But go ahead. Let's talk about that.
The best in men's below-the-waist grooming, and a company that always supports the boys.
Woo.
Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. That's a good rhyme. That sounds like a Road Dogg rhyme.
Precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Manscaped's Performance
That's cooler than polar bear drool.
Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code DOGG, D-O-G-G, at Manscaped. So, if my math is correct, that's about 8 million boys if 4 million men have tried it.
8 million boys. And wait till you start reading the names of these contraptions they call high-speed machinery.
I'll tell you what I have. I have the Lawnmower 4.0, and this is the trimmer of the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever. I mean,
mine's got a pull start. How does yours? How does yours work?
Mine's on diesel, baby.
Okay.
It's kicking. The Performance Package 4.0 is the game changer. It's in this package. No pun intended. You're going to find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer.
Yep.
Then you're going to get the Weed Whacker. You know what that is for?
Oh, I do.
That's for the ear and nose hair.
The old ear and nose holes. And believe you me, Sean Connery here has got the friggin', I don't know. Never mind.
What about the Crop Preserver ball deodorant? How about that?
All of that. That the names themselves is what I love about this company. And also the performance of their tools.
What I can tell you've been using just since the few weeks I've been involved here, you've clearly been using the Crop Reviver toner.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about before the show, what I was showing you?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Performance boxer briefs are in this package as well, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. Hold your bags.
Have your bags in your bags. Yam bag.
The best part, the Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and has a 400K LED spotlight.
Yeah.
So you can get that precise shave, my friend.
Think about this. People escaping from prison don't see that kind of wattage shot at them. I want you to think about next time you're down there, and maybe you're Nick or something. Like, I don't know what.
You're not going to with the lawnmower. That's
not with the lawnmower, and also not with the halogen that it has. What kind of light was it again?
A 400K LED spotlight.
Yeah, you can't keep it on there too long. It'll burn you.
You know what I say? Turn on the light and pull them tight. You know what I mean?
That's what you got to do. Let's get them going.
Plus, jewels. As you mentioned, the Weed Whacker, it's waterproof, provides proprietary skin-safe technology, reduces nicks, snags, and tugs to those delicate nose holes.
Those are the things I was talking about, not necessarily in my nose holes. But can I tell you for real what I love about their equipment? I'm not even kidding. And some people may relate, but I don't know. I may just be psycho. They're almost like military grade. Like they look like they're Black Ops ball trimmer or Black Ops nose hair trimmer. Like I could do this. I could do this and then kill a bad guy. You know what I mean? and never even be seen or heard because the whisper of them snatching my nasal hairs from my nose. And I might use it as a weapon too. I'm not saying you could or you should.
Does the
but
dog
they're military.
Does the dog have more ear hair or nose hair? What's your biggest issue there?
So I think it's nose, but the only reason I say that is because I pay more attention to that. Like I always, when I'm getting a haircut, the person always sticks their razor in my ear holes. So I'm thinking like,
so they can see it.
I just don't see that. You know what I mean? Like
they can see it.
That's the person next to me on the airplane that's going, for the love of God. This man has an arachnid. He has an arachnid coming out of it.
Well, not anymore, thanks to our friends at Manscaped.com. Take care of yourself and get 20% off plus free shipping with code DOGG. Yep, that's 20% off.
We're putting smiles on faces and saving people money and making them look good naked.
Come on. What are we doing? That's right.
One more time. That's a touchdown.
20% off, free shipping with code DOGG at Manscaped.com. That's DOGG. 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com and use DOGG. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. How about that?
Manscaped. Wear your stinking Speedo.
Now, look, if you don't use Manscaped,
don't wear the Speedo.
It's going to look like you've been in a hell in a cell afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're about.
Like I got my brother and a head scissors.
Dog, were you a part of 205 Live at this time? And regardless of your interaction with it, what did you think of this concept?
Well, at the time, I was probably closer to being involved with 305 Live. But I did love this concept because what I think it did for a long period of time was give smaller wrestlers, sports entertainers, a platform to perform on. And look, some of those guys earn their stripes on that show. And I'm talking about guys that are kind of stars now, like Mustafa Ali. What was the kid that's in the House of Black now?
Aleister Black?
No, the other one, the other Australian kid. Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy, yes. Man, some of the best matches I've ever seen were on that show. And that's not even, I'm not even kidding. Like, it was because they did stuff that I've never seen. And of course I'm an old, stupid white guy. So I don't know what I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know all these moves and all these things. And so when I see some of those guys do that stuff, it's crazy to me. But again, I like the idea of it. I like them having a platform. I like them having a platform that they could kind of tell stories on. Now, the problem with that was we used some of these guys on the television show too. So they got kind of the leftovers that 205 did. And it's rightfully so from a business strategy standpoint. It's a prioritize, you know what I mean? Right. And the SmackDown needs the show, needs the priority. And so they kind of got the leftovers. But man, what a 45-minute show it was on leftovers. You know, like I said, some of the best in-ring stuff I'd seen in a long time.
Are you just overseeing this? Are you writing for them? How much?
Yeah, no, I'm not. So I'm not. I am there on Tuesday, and I am overseeing the production of the show and the execution of the show as we record it. So I was overseeing that, but I was not in the creative process. except of course if we were going to do something on SmackDown that carried over to that, which we tried to do a few times. It just didn't seem to move the needle.
Yeah, you mentioned it on previous episodes when we talk about WCW and how you liked those smaller guys getting the chance, the Malenkos, the Benoits, and the Eddies.
Well, see, so
and
I
this
know
was the same kind of concept.
Amen. And so I know a lot of avid wrestling fans have seen early Dean and Eddie and Pegasus Kid and all them in Japan early. I didn't see that. You know what I mean? I joined the military and kind of did my thing, and then I was started wrestling when I got out. So I didn't really know when I first saw that X Division stuff, or I forget what they were calling it. There in WCW, but holy mackerel, the Lucha guys and the Dean Malenkos of the world, the Eddies, it blew my mind. And my brother Brad was like, "Oh my God, yeah, these guys are great. I've been working with them for a decade now." And I was like, "Holy mackerel!" So yeah, I got no qualms of saying that. It blew my mind when I see some of the stuff these guys did.
Are you involved at the time at booking the house shows for SmackDown, or is that somebody else's wheelhouse at the time?
No, that's somebody else's wheelhouse. And look, basically what they do is they go with television storylines, and you kind of stick to that for as long as you can until they change. And you gotta the important thing with a live event is to have some spontaneity and some fun, but also to not stray from what people are seeing if they follow the product.
In early September, it's reported by your friend, not my friend, Chef Jarrett, would be taking a leave of absence from Global Force Wrestling due to some personal issues. What is your relationship with Jeff like at this point of your lives? Do you remember? Are you aware of his issues? What do you remember about this time?
Yeah, I was made aware of his issues, and there were some of the issues that I had as well. And so I knew of them. I was happy to help in any way I could. But yeah, never been closer with Jeff than at this point in time, and going forward from this point in time. So yeah, no, I know he just doesn't like you, and his wife doesn't like you,
Right.
and I think I know Cody doesn't like you either.
If
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
not
his dad
sure.
to
I
slap
think
me, it'll be all good.
Jerry hates you as well. Yeah, you're not a fan. You're not a
No.
they're not a fan of you over at the Jarrett's house.
Not good with any
Um,
Jarretts.
yeah, that's okay. I just won't bring you to any outings or anything.
Oh, don't think I was invited. All right.
I'm just kidding. You can go to Jerry's hee-haw dance with me.
Well,
It's like Sadie Hawkins. I ask who I want to ask.
yeah, I won't know ever if the Jarretts have a rec tech at their house. I'll never find out. Raw is running No Mercy with 2 big time matches: Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns versus John
Oh.
Cena. When you see that,
Yeah.
does that give you some competitive fire, knowing that Hell in a Cell is coming up?
No, it just makes me cry in a corner because we're not having anything that good.
Right.
But you know what? It gave us an opportunity to not focus on trying to do anything that good. You know what I mean? Like I saw Bill Burr, the comedian, say like people talking about getting regular women on billboards, and I'm all for that, whatever. But he was like, it was just women crying because they can't compete with that, and he said, well, yeah, you can't. You're not supposed to. Like, I can't compete with Brad Pitt taking his shirt off in Legends of the Fall, but I'm not supposed to. That's Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's people can just be you and still have that model. I have no idea why I started down this road, but I wanted to visualize Brad Pitt taking
We
his
all
shirt
did,
off
buddy.
in Legends of the Fall. So
I think if we can do it once an episode, just
yeah, let's take
Brad
a
Pitt
second
Legends
if
of
we
the
could,
Fall.
like a moment of silence.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank
good.
you. Thank you.
We were talking about you having to try to quote unquote beat Lesnar, Strowman versus
Yeah,
Reigns
listen.
and Cena.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, listen. We didn't try. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I can't compete. So I tell you what I can compete with. I can compete with some good old-fashioned wrestling. You know what I mean? While you're going to give them the sports entertainment, for a while, SmackDown was their little wrestling show. And it really did well in the ratings when it was that. I think what you're kind of seeing now is Raw is becoming that too a little bit now with Hunter and the new regime there. Like, things are starting to feel right again. And look, you're going to have those fans that are never happy about anything, but Don't compare it to anything. Run your race. And I don't have Brock. I don't have Braun. I don't have Cena. I don't have these guys. Who do I have, and how do I utilize them to the best of my ability and to the best of their ability? And I think we did that. Look, we crowned Heath Slater and Rhino as the first ever SmackDown tag champs. You know what I mean? So we were doing things there that were unorthodox, and it was the little wrestling show that could.
You talked about a competition between the brands, between Raw and SmackDown, and of course NXT. But with no AEW, no Impact not being a thing, New Japan and ROH are having anywhere near the market penetration it does in the later years. Did you think WWE needed competition, or that's not even? You're not, like you said, you're focused on your own goal line.
Yeah. I didn't. I don't know what to. I don't. Yeah, because what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, the truth of it is, you can think about it, you can worry about it, you can plan for it. But all while you're doing that, you're taking your singular focus out of putting forth the best product that you can possibly put forth. And so run your race, just like we talked about on TNA episode where VKM, Voodoo Kin Mafia, is yelling as loud as we could. Look at us, look over here, look over. And they never looked back. They just ran their race. And that's what I think the marching orders are here too. When this happens, is like, what are you going to do? Like, you don't just roll up the shutters. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta buckle up, Private. We got a war to win.
At the time, John Layfield steps away from being a commentator for WWE and SmackDown. What do you remember this? And did you have a say in who would replace him?
No, I did not have a say in who would replace him. Of course, I was pleased with who replaced him, and they were always, look, it's like he said, like I said earlier, he likes for talent to have say so. He likes for the creative team to have say so too. So we always heard about and knew about what was going on and when it would happen. But basically, we would find out when it was happening as it happened. But that was fine, because it was always by somebody professional, somebody that could carry the ball, somebody where we weren't going to have a big stopgap in productivity or commentary. And so I don't remember a lot of why he stepped away. I know there were rumblings. I've heard rumblings about him playing rough, or saying the wrong things. Look, it was rough back in the day. You got to have shark skin, man. You got to have a turtle shell and shark skin, and or like to play rough too. And so I can imagine that happening, especially in today's. I don't know what story was out there, but I can imagine him saying something that hurt somebody's feelings. Yeah, he said things that hurt my feelings every time I talked to him. Like, it's just who and how he is. And look, if you don't like that person, don't just sit next to him. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but you can't, I'm sorry. That's just how he is. If you don't like him, don't like him. But he was always great with me. We beat each other up, literally, a few times, and we respect each other. And I think he's got a good heart, and I think he plays rough, but I think he's a big teddy bear. And I think anybody that really takes the time to know him thinks the same thing.
Well, part of those stories are Layfield and Mauro Ranallo's stories. Or do you think they were blown out of proportion? What did you think of Mauro?
So look, I love Mauro. I love Mauro's performance. I love what he brings to the table. I don't know, and I know he was vocal about it, but I don't know to what extent he has issues. And so I could totally see if I have something going on and Bradshaw is being that way to me, I could totally argue the point of like, hey, I can't work like this. I understand that argument. For me, I say, F you big tech, dumb tech, you know what I mean? Whatever. And it's just what we're just talking now. You know what I mean? And so it's not the same for me. So it's not fair to ask me. I don't know if the stories were true. I can imagine Bradshaw saying something mean to somebody and at the wrong time, it not being appropriate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can also see me doing that every day of the week and twice on every other day of the week. Just because I'm an open book, man, and I talk and I love people and I love when I talk to you and I don't want to filter what I say. I want to just be able to, and so I don't know. I play rough too, man.
We've all been in
yeah.
a job where personalities don't clash. You
Yeah,
can both
yeah,
be good
yeah,
workers, and you just don't work good together.
and that's exactly kind of what I felt like happened. Like they just didn't need to be together ever. You know what I mean? That's just the truth. And I think two things can be true at the same time. You know what I mean? What Morrow thought and how he felt was true and matters, and what John did happened. You know what I mean? Like whatever
Yeah.
he was doing. And so, you know, two things can be true, and like you said, they didn't jive together, man.
Baron Corbin went from being the Money in the Bank holder to just a guy in a matter of weeks, and Dave Meltzer reports. It had to do with a wrestlers meeting with Dr. Joseph Maroon. When something like this happens, does it come from Vince, talent relations, or is it something you would do on your own as a punishment?
Yeah, I don't have any. That's news to me. Like
Okay.
I when I read that in the reports, I was like, Doctor Who? So I know exactly who Dr. Maroon is. It's not like I don't know who he is, but it's that was the first time I've heard that.
Okay.
And so look, decisions are made all the time that are out of left field, and you go like, what? What just happened? Why did that happen? You know what I mean? And maybe you know, and maybe you don't know. So that was obviously one that I was not aware of.
Ziggler's big return is to come out to his music, but the fans, just like dumb gimmicks, comes back out to Cena's music, and he comes out acting like Cena, then goes back, comes out to Randy Savage's music with a woman and
Yes.
says people
Dun,
like
dun, dun.
nostalgia. Then he
Yeah.
acts like Naomi with her fake hair glowing in the dark.
Yes.
It's built to be a lame, but man, watching this back goes super long. Good idea in theory. Was it bad in execution? What were you thinking?
No, I think this was one of those things where it was bad from the inception. But once you get that directive,
You're in it.
you don't tell him how it's not going to work.
Right.
You show him that it's either going to work or you're going to die trying to make it. You know what I mean? Like it's not of course that
Yeah,
grim.
we've started it.
but
We got to
but
make it work.
but this is what we're doing. This is what we're, you know, and that goes back as far as World War One. Hey, we're charging, or World War II. We're landing in Normandy. Heck, I don't want to do that. Yeah, well, we're doing it. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. We got to figure out how to make it work. And so that's where we were at. Was it working? No. Did it go way too long? Yes. Did everybody know it? Yes. And so, but we were committed at the time. And so it's sometimes it's stranger to just cut bait than to go, okay, let's pivot a little and see if this will work. So, you know, we were trying stuff.
KO and Shane are building this angle, and it heavily includes Daniel Bryan as well. Bryan tells Shane that Vince called him personally, and Shane is suspended indefinitely. How does Vince come to be involved in this story? Do you pitch that, or is that a Vince brainchild?
So look, you always, and this is nobody's genius. It's just common knowledge. Like, holy mackerel, we're telling a story with a McMahon. Can we get Vince on TV?
Right.
Can we promote it? You know what I mean? So it just makes sense that we pitch to him, hey sir, you know what would really be cool right here is if you showed up and look, he would say no, because we'd say that a lot. And he would go, nope, it's not right. It's not right. And he was a very good judge of that. Because the few times that he did show up, it was always successful. It always worked. And so this was one of those times where we felt like, hey, this feels right. You know what I mean? This feels like your son's gone too far here, or is he going to go too far? Like, what are you going to do? And also, I think it's good TV. It's Game of Thrones stuff, you know?
It leads to something we thought we'd never see coming from the Observer. It says Vince McMahon returned to WWE television in a new role for the first time, allowing himself to be portrayed as an old man. McMahon, at 72, noticeably smaller than in the past, took a headbutt from Kevin Owens, bled badly, which is not only very much planned, but emphasized in the shooting of the angle. He got up woozy, trying to feebly fight back, was decked, kicked in the ribs, super kicked, and splashed off the top rope and crawled out of the ring. The angle was a setup for the Shane McMahon versus Owens Hell in a Cell match that will be most promoted match on the 10/8 pay-per-view from Detroit. McMahon, who has heavily pushed the idea that blood isn't allowed to be shown on television, had the cameras zoomed in on his split forehead with blood gushing because it's rarely done. It was more effective than in a promotion where people see blood all the time. but it does fly in the face of normal company policy regarding blading, shooting of blood, and whatever family-friendly content is supposed to mean. But hypocrisy and contradictions on subjects like blood and safety in pro wrestling have and probably always will be part of the business. What's your thoughts on that?
So you talked about it being planned and thought out and shot. And for one, I'm 95% sure it was a hard way. And if it wasn't a hard way, nobody knew but those two. And that's the truth, because we all pooped our pants back there when that happened. Like, we knew he was going to headbutt him, and we knew Vince had probably told him, "Don't you hold back. You better hit me." You know, I'm sure he had. That's his character. That's his real human character. Give it to me. And so it was not planned. What we did was shoot the blood, knowing that we maybe on the masters that went out everywhere else, we could edit that out, or we could also turn the film into black and white if we wanted to use it going forward. And so it was kind of an on-the-spot decision to shoot that. And again, that's from my vantage point where I was sitting. The only person that usually sat next to me was Vince, and he was in the ring. So maybe secrets were kept and talked about that I wasn't aware of, but that's my recollection of that night. Holy mackerel, he just hard-weighed Vince. Shoot that, because I don't want this to go away. Look, that's how I remember it. If I'm wrong, they got me. You know what I mean? I'm glad there's still some wonder in me.
How big of a deal is it for someone like Kevin Owens to get to work one of the last major angles with Vince McMahon?
Oh, so huge. And so what a great look. That's why Kevin's character is great right now, because he's been in these storylines with great characters, like since his arrival. You know what I mean? Like, he was a USA title competitor for John Cena and beat him for the title up front, you know, early on. And so he's been entangled in a lot of great storylines, and will be for years to come.
Online, of course, and there's speculation, tons of rumor and innuendo about all this. There was
Hey, don't be looking in your window. You might see something you don't want to see.
See you manscaping. That's what we're going to see. There was at the time there was some in the company that after this angle said Vince was not quite the same. Do you view it that way?
No.
Okay.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Same guy really before and after to you at that time.
Yeah, 100%.
Ratings don't really go up or down with events appearing. Is that a surprise to you and the rest of the company? Or, well, like you said, that maybe that's overanalyzing.
Yeah, look, I do think it's overanalyzing, and I am surprised that it didn't show. He didn't move the needle at all. Like, that would be surprising for me to know. But I also, again, wouldn't be surprised. So we'll see.
After the show, the Mae Young Classic finals take place and sees Kairi Sane defeat Shayna Baszler. How chaotic is it to run all this on a live TV day?
Oh, very chaotic. And look, the good news is that the live stuff's over and this is all taped. So you can make as many mistakes as you want to, and we will fix it before the air date. However, like, you don't want to Kairi Sane. What'd you say?
Well, I don't know.
You said Kairi Sane too, didn't you?
If I said something else, I mispronounced it.
Yeah, that's okay. I can't pronounce it either. They have about 7 Kyries, I think, too. But what were we talking about?
I don't know. It won't be the first name that I butcher throughout any of this podcast, buddy.
Right.
You're we were talking about chaotic.
You're lucky you get mine right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is. Look, the hardest part about that is holding on to people. With 205 Live, people, the lay person would get up and leave after SmackDown because they don't see 205 Live because they don't have Peacock or WWE Network or whatever. Like, they're just the casual fan that watched Friday Night SmackDown or Tuesday night, whatever it was, and come to the show. When that's over, the show's over, right? And so you have to try to hold people, move them down around and so you'll get a scattering of hardcore fans that stay to see that because they know they're going to see some great action with 205, or in this situation, the finals of the Mae Young Classic. And so, look, it's also, a very long day. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you fly that morning or the night prior, you get up, you go to this building, and you're at the building all day planning this. And when your live show's over, it's all you almost, I mean, you want to say like, yeah, I could care less what happens now, but you can't, because it's still a WWE product and they're still putting their name on there. So I still have to do my best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult to say the least.
The New Day regained the tag team titles from the Usos in a street fight, which is to set up Hell in a Cell match. Where'd the idea come from for 2 cell matches?
Mm. Never been a tag team cell match before either.
How about that?
That was the selling point. To me, that was what was so interesting, and that was the selling point. And then, had they not had the match they had inside Hell in the Cell, you'd have never seen one again. I can assure you of that. But it was one of those things where I believe I can fly. You know what I mean? And it was like, no, you can't, son. You don't have wings. And I said, sir, just give me a chance. And so, it was, we fought for this one, man, and gladly so, proudly so, because they performed. And man, what a great first ever Hell in a Cell tag team title match. And they got innovative with some stuff too. So it was super cool to be a part of that.
Speaks to your the company, you and the company's trust in these guys too.
Oh yeah,
if
for
you're
sure.
gonna have a first, you better know we got the solid people in there.
And the thing is these cats had already done everything together, all kind of matches. They've beaten each other to death at everything, and it's almost like they brought out the best in each other. And I don't know if you ever remember the rap battle they did. Like we got creative with these guys. And they performed all of them every single time. And so it was so cool to have them on the roster and to be able to utilize them and stuff like this.
When Hell in a Cell is first introduced, it's for Shawn versus Taker and to keep everyone out. Now it's a pay-per-view on a schedule that you have to build to and hope it makes sense to have stories that fit into the gimmick. That's just a WWE branding thing, but do you think it hurts?
I don't think so. I think it's a different cage. If you have a cage match, you don't give those away all the time either. You know what I mean? So I think maybe on holiday tours or something, you'll get a cage match or two, but you don't see those a lot on television. So really having something to build to. And then the trick is, actually was in your question, was making sure the story is right for Hell in the Cell. And very few are. So you have to be there, where when you look at these two combatants, you go, we got to lock them inside Hell in a Cell, and this is the end. You know what I mean? Like, this is the blow off. We can't do anything else. And so yeah, very important that the story has to be right and match the consequences of Hell in a Cell.
When you know Shane versus Owens will be in the cell, do you automatically start planning Shane's big bump?
No, he does.
Okay.
And so it's, you do not have to worry about that one bit. Like, one's coming, and I know he's gonna. The problem is when you hear it, not trying to talk him out of it as hard as you can. You know what I mean? Like, that he always wants to impress and wants to do bigger and better, and I love that about him. But at the same time, I go like, you're gonna die, homie. And so you know what I mean? Like, and so it's scary. And so, no, I don't have to worry about putting together any bumps for Shane McMahon. He'll take care of those all by himself.
Glow debuts on Netflix, June 2017. What's the temperature within WWE about Netflix doing a quote wrestling show? Which I personally
don't even remember talking about it.
Okay.
Did watch it and did enjoy it myself, from a personal standpoint, but it wasn't something that like we talked about at great length. You know what I mean?
Also at this time, just for context, we lose Bobby Heenan September 17th, 2017.
One of the greatest of all time.
You know, we say all the time, talking with Conrad and the rest of the crew, and I'm sure you agree. Speaking of an incredible podcast, how great would have Bobby Heenan been with his own podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just go back and listen to him and Vince, him and Gorilla, him and, you know what I mean? Like, he was just so good. He was just so good. He was such a great worker too. That's what people forget about, is what a great wrestler he was as well. But he just could talk so good that he didn't have to take too many bumps.
All right, Lesnar versus Reign, clearly the direction for WrestleMania. This is from the October 2nd Observer. While WWE likes to keep things unpredictable, it was not a secret from even before this year's WrestleMania that the main event for the 2018 Mania was supposed to be what was planned for 2015. Roman Reigns being crowned as the top star in the promotion by pinning Brock Lesnar. The crowd turning on Reigns made Vince McMahon rethink the idea and plan it for 2016. And then he figured it wasn't right for that year, as he instead had Reigns run through the hated authority by beating Triple H and spearing Stephanie McMahon, or the next year when he beat The Undertaker. I know you were a writer, not a booker, but did you think Braun Strowman got a raw deal here? He was built up like a literal monster heading into 2017, only to lose to Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Look, you could argue anything, anything. So my argument would be, who do you think in the big picture is more marketable, Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns? And that's, to me, that's literally a chocolate and vanilla thing, because I totally, totally think a lot of people would argue Braun, but I personally would argue Roman, because I think he's a swell looker. I think he's, you know what I mean? He's not a monster among men. You know what I mean? That's a little off-putting, just saying it. But like, so I think Vince saw Roman as being more marketable and more promotable. And again, I think there's arguments to be made for and against that. But I also think we missed that opportunity, and I forget which time it was, because he's wrestled him quite a few times. But I feel like that time, I think it might have been in San Francisco, where, man, I just felt like Roman should have done it. And again, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. Oh,
Yeah.
He should have won there. He should have won here. Well, he didn't. He didn't win then. And guess who's the biggest star in the industry right now? Roman Reigns, without a doubt. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even close. And so it's just a blip on the radar, man.
Yeah.
And it could be WrestleMania. It could be the biggest moment of the year, but in the big picture, it's a blip on the radar. And while people still don't like Undertaker's streak ending, ain't nobody protesting that creative decision. You know what I mean? Like, we've moved on. We're ready to see his one-man show now.
Yeah, he's there. Speaking of WrestleMania, do you know what your WrestleMania main event for SmackDown is at this point in time? October-ish?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're probably still talking about it. I'm trying to think where we were. We didn't have Cena. So we were probably still throwing stuff around, but we were getting there.
Okay. Bullet Club invades Ontario, California, Raw, October 2nd. Observer says, are you there for this? What did you think about it when you first heard it?
So I am there for that. The only thing that I remember out of that thing was, I get it. I did the Voodoo Kin Mafia and took cookies and whatever to the WWF at the time guys, and tried to do the same thing. So it wasn't incredibly creative, and it wasn't incredibly successful. And the saddest part about it was Jimmy Jacobs went out there and took his picture with him and then got fired because of it. But those were his friends, so that's what he did. So, but that was the only thing of memory that happened to me that day.
All right. Now, also for context, on October 9th, 2017, we lose Lance Russell. Lance was such a major part of Southern wrestling history. How big of loss is this to you personally?
So yeah, Lance's family lives literally across the street from where I grew up in Gulf Breeze, Florida. So I still see Lance's son in the airport a lot. But yeah, Lance was a staple. You know what I mean? You know that voice from Southern wrestling, like you said. And I got to Memphis in '95, so it was like way past their prime. You know what I mean? And so, but I remember they were such professionals, and they just played it right every time. Him and Dave Brown was there in Memphis. But yeah, look, we were losing some icons in the industry, and that's every now and then you do that. It sucks every time.
No mention of it on WWE on TV. Is that a thing? Did y'all discuss it backstage, or what do you think
Yeah,
about
I'm
that?
sure we did, and I can imagine Vince not knowing who he was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can imagine Vince being so working, and so maybe it didn't feel important at the time. And I also say that not having any idea if he made that decision or if that decision was made by somebody else. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't remember conversations about it, to tell you the truth.
Is there talk of a four horsemen of Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Marina Shafir? I probably butchered that. And
No, you nailed it, actually.
Jessamine Duke program or match against Bailey, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks at the time. Do you remember any of that?
So look,
talk?
that was that I do remember that talk. It was mostly on the internet.
Yeah.
Because we didn't, what do you do with it? Do you have these young shoot fighting women who aren't really able to wrestle well yet, beat these girls who are next in line? You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know what to do there and when to do it. So yeah, there's talks about Sting and Undertaker too. Like, we never really pitched that and said this is what we should do. But there's just dream matches, right? And maybe one day that dream match can come true, but maybe not. I think that's hardcore fans looking at stuff like that, I believe.
Also, back then, there was talk of Paige returning to SmackDown. How long was that process for her? And did you think she would be coming back full time after her injury?
Yeah, I didn't look. I knew she wasn't coming back full time to perform in ring, but what I did want was for her to perform on the television show, because I thought she'd be a great general manager. I thought she'd be a great female anchor at the desk or whatever. You know what I mean? I just thought surely there's a place to use Paige, and so we did every chance we got. But yeah, I didn't think she'd come back from that injury.
When someone's returning from an injury like that, and it doesn't have a storyline, how is it decided what brand they would go to? Maybe her in specific, but anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think it would just be talked about okay, who could benefit the most from having her, because I would argue that having her is having some star power, and it's promotable, especially to have her as your mouthpiece. She's a beautiful lady. She speaks with a British accent. Like, it's nothing not attractive about her on the television show. So it's just how can we best utilize her if she can't take bumps anymore?
Mike Bennett is back with the company. At the time, he announces he's 60 days sober. How hard is it to be on the road with the company and stay sober? You know this from personal experience.
Yes, I do.
How hard is this for someone like him, probably?
Well, look, Mike and I actually spoke a lot about addiction during this period of time. And I don't think, look, if you're dead set on it, if you're done living that way and you're ready to change, nothing in the world can stop you. You know what I mean? So it's, you can't put it on the road. You can't put it on the boys. You can't put it on the business. Like, no, if you're ready to stop, you'll stop, and you'll do what you have to do on a daily basis, if not 100 times on a daily basis. You got to do what you got to do to keep your mind off of that, to keep your mind in a positive place. And again, Mike and I spoke about recovery a lot. Mike is great to this day on Twitter, very motivational, very inspirational. And he's learned how to live his life without taking drugs. And that's, for somebody who doesn't know that there's a life out there without drugs, there is. And it's you gotta do a little legwork, but it's also 100% more rewarding. So I don't know, maybe this is where we pitch to a yeah, I don't know. Fergal McDivitt t-shirt ad. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Maria Kanellis is also off TV due to being pregnant. There is, of course, everybody online knows everything. There's been stories online that WWE were not happy about it. Is that real, or is that just exaggerated BS?
I feel like that's exaggerated BS. Like, look, did we hire them and she got pregnant? Yes, but that's That's they're a husband and
That's
wife.
life.
Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, life happens. I mean, you see today from a writer's standpoint. Holy crap, Becky gets pregnant. Holy crap, I can't use Becky for 9 months. Yeah, selfishly, I totally understand that line of thinking
Right.
because Becky was a huge star. I was using her every week, and now she's not going to be there. But Maria and them just came in, so really it was. If anything, the timing was good, in my opinion. So I don't know where that talk comes from.
Bobby Roode debuts on the SmackDown brand with the glorious theme music. We've talked
Yes.
about this. Incredible theme music. How good is it, man?
Glorious.
I mean, the
I
crowd.
won't give in, glorious. I don't know the words.
Do you remember that popping?
Oh,
and
heck yes.
Instant hit?
Heck yes. It was almost sad because then he had to wrestle afterwards. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, okay. And look, I'm not saying Bobby Roode's boring or not, because I think Bobby Roode's great. Bobby Roode's been great in this industry for 30 years now. And I'm personal witness to that. However, it was such a cool entrance theme, and the lighting and his robe, and he spun around, and like, holy mackerel, it was Elvis in Las Vegas. It was what was the piano?
It was fun.
The piano guy from Las Vegas, Liberace. You know what I mean? It's like it's glitter and glamour and show, and then you just got to wrestle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah. Last thing before we get to the actual show. All right, dog. John Cena.
Wait, the actual
Hell in a Cell.
Oh, I thought you
Not
meant
the podcast.
I thought you meant the podcast. I thought we've been talking for like an hour now.
We forgot to hear. Here we go. John Cena goes on Edge and Christian's podcast, and Meltzer has some comments that we'd love to get your feedback on.
Great.
Here's what he says. Cena was on the Edge and Christian podcast and said there was more opportunities to make a name, but most of the talent doesn't step up and just show up and do what they are told. Well, that is the kind of environment this place has fostered. Is that accurate in your mind?
No, it's not. No,
Okay.
It's not fair because it's out of context. Like he's not wrong. Cena's not wrong. Nobody stepped up. Nobody. Now I'll tell you who stepped up now. Roman Reigns, and it shows, and it's his show, and it works. And because he stepped up his game, he got serious about setting himself up for the rest of his life. There's not a lot of people in this industry like that anymore that are that driven to say, give me that and I'll do anything you ask of me, and I'll do it better than you ask me to do it. You know what I mean? And I'll do it for the betterment of both of us. And that's what you need to have, that kind of relationship with your champion, because that is the literal face of your company. He's going to go on every red carpet and every talk show and put you over or bury you. You know what I mean? Like we saw the AEW media scrum. It didn't go so well, but John and Roman, you can guarantee, are going to tote that ball. And look, people can fuss about that all they want to. That's called having a job. You know what I mean? If the people that are fussing about that don't go to work and the guy says clean the crapper, or I need you to make copies, or I need you to sweep, like, you don't just get to say suck it and walk away. Like, that's all fun and games on a wrestling show, but you got to do what you need to do. You know what I mean? And if you can help and make it better, that opportunity's always there. So to say that opportunity for people to have a say so and have a voice, to say that they don't have that is just wrong. And I don't know how else to put it.
Also, Randy Orton was on the ENC podcast and talked about how much he wanted to be a heel. Is it tough to hear talent talk like that openly about what they want, or does Randy bring that up to you?
Yeah.
You remember that?
No. So I don't remember that specifically, but I had probably knew that anyway. Look, it is frustrating. I understand why people say it's the same people who are frustrated because talent doesn't have a say-so that get frustrated when he goes on there and has a say-so. And so it's you can't have it both ways. Is it a little frustrating when you're writing somebody in a storyline and they go, I wish I was doing this? Like, yeah, that's frustrating. But he's a human being. He's interviewed out of character, talking, but with wrestling, it's weird. You can talk out of character and there's an audience for that. But it's that weird. Is that really Randy, or is this Randy talking like he's at home Randy, or is this is this the Viper? Is this the Legend Killer? Like, which Randy are we talking to here?
All right, the Go Home SmackDown from Denver has some interesting stories, and your boy Meltzer would call it this. Talk about booking backwards. It's like they were trying to teach the audience that wins and losses mean nothing. You had the title contender in the U.S. title match lose clean in the Go Home show to a prelim guy. You had the babyface title contender for the women's title submit clean to the heel champion. You had the main event babyface pick a fight with the heel for a cage match and get his ass kicked in a fair fight after talking big. He's talking about how Natalya defeated Charlotte in a tag match clean via submission. Dillinger pinned Corbin. Shane changes the rules of the Hell in a Cell to a Falls Count Anywhere match and then gets his ass kicked after running down Owens for 5 minutes around the arena. We know that Dillinger will be added to the U.S. title match with Styles and Corbin, but what say you? Is that fair criticism?
Yeah, look, it's all criticism is fair. If I put something out on the television network for you to watch, you're allowed to have your feelings about it all you want. And some of them are legitimate, and some of them you could get me to agree with you on, and some of them you can't. And it's all objective, right? It's all of it. It's not real, so we can create our own destiny, so we can do whatever we want. Just so happens what we wanted to do that time, Meltzer didn't agree with. And so there you get your criticism. And look, where do you turn if you want to read something about wrestling? To Meltzer. And so, but am I going to write my show to please him? Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? If I'm trying to write it to please anybody, it dang sure ain't him. And so it's criticism, and it's legitimate because it's how he feels. And so I don't know. Do I weigh into it? Do I write my show? Heck no. Now, would I get ideas from Twitter where somebody goes, oh my God, you should totally do this? And I would go, hey, this dude on Twitter said such and such. I'm not calling the guy and asking if I can use his idea. He said it over Twitter. I can use his idea. And so, and usually it would be silly little things that I would try to get in there as an Easter egg. Like during the Nakamura and Sean Spears stuff, where literally they said they were going to the last man standing match at Nakamura and somebody, and Nakamura said, and I counted 10, and then Sean Spears literally said, did someone say 10? And we got to a match that way. Like, it was so yeah, things are difficult to keep going, and you kind of just do what you got to do to get by.
We're about to heat it up and talk about actual Hell in the Cell finally. And you know what else is heating up, buddy?
What's that?
Bluechew.
Oh,
Bluechew can heat it up for you, my friend.
Hey, it'll get hot, downright hot.
If your bedroom's cooled off, might be time to hit our friends at Bluechew.
Oh, yeah.
Confidence can take you far in life, gentlemen. It also helps in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. That's where Bluechew comes in. Bluechew's tablets are made in the USA. They're prepared and shipped direct to your door in a what?
A discreet package.
Yeah, but nothing will be discreet package.
Nothing will be discreet about your package.
Loud and proud, my friend.
Yes.
With Bluechew, men everywhere excited to see the postman, because when your package has arrived,
your package has
time to get off the couch and go back to work. So if your tool needs an upgrade, head to BlueChew.com. If you can benefit from some extra confidence when it's time to perform, Bluechew can help. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Bluechew free when you use our promo code DOGG at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code DOG to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Bluechew for sponsoring the podcast. Sometimes you gotta get that old what for and the who's he what's it in.
Yeah,
Bluechew's
you know what I
help.
mean? And Bluechew is there.
We
like
thank
a
Bluechew.
friend. Like a friend who will, never mind.
Sometimes you got to turn your bedroom into Hell in a Cell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's get this
to keep it fresh.
All right, let's get into actual Hell in a Cell 2017. Here we go.
All right.
First match,
sure took us a minute to get there. I can tell you that much.
First match, Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable beat Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder in 10 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah.
Funny comment early in the match by Corey Graves was how Benjamin and Gable are traveling from town to town, and Gable is picking up all this knowledge from him. The funny part is that until 10 out of 10, Benjamin hasn't worked any house shows. That's my favorite on 10-10. Gable was the star of the match. The Hype Bros set up the Hype Rider, and while the Hype Bros weren't booed, the fans did boo them, setting up their finish. There was a brief dissension spot. Benjamin and Gable won when they were pinned Ryder with the powerbomb and clothesline combination. 2 3/4 stars.
Yes.
Mojo and Zack. Did the Hype Brothers reach their ceiling, or did you think there was more to them possibly?
Well, look, I think they reached their ceiling. I think they've definitely been better utilized apart as singles guys. And look, I think there's something to Mojo, but he's acquired taste, and you either love him or hate him. And just so happens I love him. So I wanted to utilize him. I just wanted to utilize him singularly.
The Usos regained the SmackDown tag titles, beating the New Day, in this case, Big E and Xavier Woods, in a Hell in a Cell match. 21 minutes and 56 seconds. They did a lot of weapons. Brawling with the chain and a kendo stick was introduced. Woods broke the latest Francesa on Jay twice and then found another trombone under the ring. The Usos handcuffed E to the corner and Woods to the post, and had him hanging from the post like he was being crucified.
Oh.
They gave Woods a ton of kendo stick shots while he was hanging there defenseless.
Yes.
Somehow both escaped the handcuffs as the ref came equipped with a handcuff key. How about that? They did a ton of super kicks on E. Keep in mind that when you do a million super kicks in WWE, you are not an indie geek with no psychology, nor are you being unoriginal, no matter how much your cousin doesn't think before speaking, says the Observer. They did a double splash off the top on E.
That is so inside that I literally am a vice president and working in the company at this time, and not one time have I ever thought about that in my life. Like, that's so holy mackerel. Like, what? Who is? Anyway.
They did a double splash off the top on E, but Woods saved. Jay used 5 kendo stick shots to the body of Woods, and they did a double splash onto a chair that was on Woods, and Jay pinned him. Great match, says the Observer. 4 stars.
Yeah.
How is it decided which members of the New Day would go into this?
That they decide.
Okay.
Yeah, they decide, like, hey, and I've literally gone to them and say, hey, we want so-and-so to work. Yeah, but it's his turn. And you go, okay, sorry. Like, I have literally, they've done that, and I go, I don't want to mess with their system. You know what I mean? They got a system that works, and they like it, and they're okay with it, and so.
Makes it easy for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Makes it easy on me. You tell me which 2 are working. And either way you cut it, it's going to be great. You know what I mean? So to me, like, that's what, look, I'm being a sourpuss about the critiques and stuff because I take it personally, of course, because it was mine. But I also think that's look, if I want to look at anything negatively, I can. Like, I'm not going to care about how to get a key to the handcuffs. Like, okay, so we could have gimmicked them and they could have broke them.
Right.
That's okay. Like, there's that. You can do that, or you could save that for like a strong person to break out. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm not gonna think about, oh, the one thing I remember from this awesome history-making match was that the guy had a key in his pocket. You know what I mean? Like, what? That's what you remember? Like, I remember the innovative violence. And I don't like to say that word. The innovative aggression is probably better because, man, they did hang them up in interesting ways and beat the fire out of each other. They did interesting tag team stunts that a singles Hell in a Cell match can't do. I thought it was great. I thought it made history and set some boundaries. Like, okay, follow that, you know.
How great is it? Best tag team match in Hell in a Cell?
I think so. And I don't know how many there's been since then. But man, that was the first, and they went all out, and they attacked it like it was the first one ever, and that's what it came out like. You know what I mean? Like it was awesome.
Third match of the night, Randy Orton beating Rusev in 11 minutes and 37 seconds. Solid match. Good work with Orton doing his usual stuff, like the backbreaker on the barricade and the twisting power slam. Rusev used a fallaway slam and high kick, but as he went for the accolade, Orton rolled out of the ring. Rusev missed a splash, and Orton hit the draping DDT. Rusev came back, went for the accolade. Orton escaped and hit the RKO for the pin. 3.25 stars. What can you say about Randy Orton that hadn't already been said about how good he is?
Yeah, nothing. And Rusev too, for that matter. But Randy's so good, like it's almost like pi equals 3.14. Like that's just Randy. He's just that good. And so, Miro was really good too, and still is to this day. Like I would love to work with as a road dog babyface in my prime. I would love to work with a heel Rusev, or a heel Randy Orton, either one.
We needed more Rusev Day. We wish that would have happened.
I agree.
Fourth match, Baron Corbin won a three-way over AJ Styles and Ty Dillinger in 19 minutes and 19 seconds. Corbin threw Styles rib first into the post and started working on Dillinger. Corbin knocked Styles off the apron into the announcer's table and threw him into the barricade. Styles turned into a real force here. He went over the top into a forearm, but Corbin threw Styles' shoulder into the post. Corbin used the deep six on Dillinger and a choke slam into a backbreaker off the top rope onto Styles. Corbin did a charge into the post. That spot is done way too often, says the Observer, almost like a crutch for a big heel. And Styles hit the 450 on him, but Dillinger saved. Styles hit the forearm on Dillinger, but Corbin threw him out of the ring and got the pin to win the title. 3.5 stars. It's obvious Dillinger is in there to lose, but does it look worse when he rarely wins, is put into a title match like that and loses?
If that's how you want to look at it, yes. You know what I mean? I don't know what to tell you. Like I choose to look, like if I didn't like wrestling as much as the Observer didn't like wrestling, I wouldn't watch wrestling. Like it sounds horrible. But I love it, so I'm gonna watch it. Look, it was so same people love Shawn Spears. Give Shawn Spears a chance. Oh God, what'd you put him in there for? That didn't make any sense at all. So you can't have it both ways. If you want the guy to work, we put him in there and let him work. Now all of a sudden everybody says, oh, he's going to go to AEW where he'll be used right. He hadn't been on TV in 2 years. Jiminy Christmas. Sometimes I get frustrated.
What do you think about him saying the spot is done too often, Corbin charge into the post?
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. It's done a lot. It's an effective way to take you out, especially if you go to the floor in a triple threat type thing. It's something that can take you out of action for a second. So yeah, locking up's done a lot too. I don't know. I don't know why we're so negative. Why we have it to be like I love wrestling, man. I love it.
Let's be positive.
Okay.
I'll take any chance I can get to brag on Baron Corbin. He was just starting to break out onto his own.
Yes.
Now he's in there with two great workers in Styles and Dillinger. That's got to be great for him at this moment in his career.
100%. And look, he just won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It may have been the year prior. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that. But like he's up and coming, and he's a big guy, and he's a former football player. And Dominic chimed in. End of Days is awesome. Like it's turned into now such a false finish that it is what it is. But I also think you could literally tomorrow go back to beating people with it, and it would be an interesting finisher. Because I think Baron does a lot of really big man athletic stuff that he doesn't get enough credit for.
Fifth match on the night, Charlotte Flair beat Natalya via DQ in 12 minutes and 15 seconds. So Natalya retained the women's title. Solidly worked match with Natalya working on the left knee. Charlotte was doing a ton of Ric Flair stuff. She mostly sold the left knee. Natalya got the sharpshooter in the middle, but Charlotte escaped. Charlotte did a moonsault off the top rope to the floor, selling the knee on the landing. Natalya then hit Charlotte in the knee with a chair for the DQ. The match was going good until the finish. They say Natalya delivered several more.
And the finish screwed it all up, and now I hate wrestling. Blah, blah, blah.
By the way, still gave it 3 stars. Yeah.
And yeah, the truth is, it was really good, and we stretched the story out a little bit. We talked about how difficult it is to write creatively, episodically every week. And so, look, sometimes these pay-per-views are 3 weeks out. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to tell a story and be done with it? Yeah. Like, no, you're going to continue that story. And so you're not going to change the title. You don't want to have Natalya beat her, because then why would you go back to it right away? You know what I mean? Like, it's a creative decision that's made. It's not going to solve world hunger, and it's not gonna cause peace in the Middle East. Like, it's wrestling, man. And if we're taking it this seriously, I feel like we're missing the ball.
We did talk earlier about how you knew if Natalya's involved in something, you knew you could trust her. Yeah. Same deal here with Charlotte. How good are these two in the ring together every single time?
Well, yeah, they're very good in the ring together. The only time that Charlotte and Becky weren't great, Charlotte and the only time Charlotte wasn't great, Natalie's always great. Natalya, Natalya's always great. She has been. She's a pro. She's a pro's pro, and that's why she's in the position she's in to this day. The only time Charlotte ever is when her and Becky get into it for real. And they did that a lot, was to get into it for real, and it just looks ugly, and it makes the match feel weird. And you go like, oh, were they just really beating the crap out of each other? And then now they're going back to the finish. But it was always awkward to see that, but it was also fun.
With everything going on with Rick at the time, it made sense to do as much Flair stuff as possible. What's your thoughts on Charlotte doing Ric Flair stuff? Is there a time and place for that, or is she better without it or better with it? What's your thoughts?
Well, look, I think I would keep that in my back pocket forever, because you can't run away from it. So why? You know what I mean? I think she's totally established herself as one of the greatest women's wrestlers in the history of the industry. I don't think that's arguable. You can argue if she's number 1 or number 3 or number 8, but she's one of the greatest, and that she's in that conversation. And that you can say she got the opportunity because of her father. You can say whatever you want to say, but when the bell rings, ain't nobody in there with her but her, and she carries the ball, man. She's a producer, and she's good at what she does, and she takes great pride in it. So I don't know. I think you got to have a little bit of both, because I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet, I wanted to wiggle my knees like my dad did too. You know what I mean? I wanted to do things like an Armstrong too. And so I think it's great that you have that in your arsenal.
They did a Fashion Files segment. The crowd popped for the idea of it. The Ascension showed up in disguise, and Breeze and Fandango figured out who they were. Not like it wasn't obvious, says the Observer. The Ascension wanted to be their friends, and Breeze and Fandango said they were ugly and smelled bad. It hurt their feelings, and then they were off to a new case. What'd you think of all this? Was it the best use of TV time?
Yes. I'm going to say yes, because look, every other segment is, I'm going to kick your butt. You're going to kick my butt. Well, I'm going to kick your butt. And now we're kicking each other's butts. And so, yes, I think there's room for an elephant standing in a hula hoop. And I think there's room for a man spinning plates. And I think there's room for a grizzly bear riding a tricycle.
Yeah, you got to have a little fun.
It's a variety show. It's a variety show.
All right, now we're on to Jinder Mahal beat Shinsuke Nakamura in 12 minutes and 2 seconds to retain the WWE title from the Observer.
This made a lot of people mad. So don't not just you, Observer.
Oh, buddy.
But you know what? He's a heel champion. He cheated to win.
Here's what Observer had to say. Opening line. This was such a nothing match. Mahal rammed Nakamura's back into the post twice and threw him into the front row. Nakamura came back with kicks. The Singh brothers interfered. Nakamura used a Kinshasa. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
Kyrie off the metal rope, but the ref was distracted by throwing the Singh brothers out. Nakamura hit the Kinshasa, but the ref was too slow to make the count. The finish saw Nakamura miss a charge into the corner, and Mahal pinned him with the Kala's 2-star.
It's called the Kalash.
That's what I meant.
And I think that's how you say finish.
Kalash.
In Hindi. I'm not sure of that. I could be.
The Kalash.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about match placement, Dog. WWE title, third from the top. Was the Mahal reign a failure looking back?
Yeah, I mean, was he a successful champion? Was his reign will be remembered forever? It'll probably be remembered a lot more than some people's will, and maybe for the wrong reasons, but still. Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't a failure, and that's why I'm trying to change perspective here on You Didn't Know, is, who's that idiot that made electricity? What's his name?
Made electricity.
Yeah.
Ben Franklin. I don't know.
No.
Not Benny Franklin?
He made the light bulb. Edison. Thomas Edison.
Edison.
When he did an experiment and it didn't work, did he just go on the internet and say, this show sucks, I'm not watching no more, I'm done, I'm boycotting the Peacock network? Like, good God almighty, people. Is that what we're doing? Really? But yes, the answer is yes. Go on Twitter and you'll find out. That's really what they're doing. But yeah, so did it not go over well? Agreed. Was it not well received? Agreed. But how do you call it a failure when it happened? You know what I mean? Like, it's part of the history. You can say you didn't like it. You can say you think it's a failure. You can say whatever you want to. We live in America, dadgummit, and some of them, about 1% of the YouTube in India, they're going to yell at me if I got that word kalash wrong earlier.
Oh, yeah.
But like, it's an experiment. It didn't go as how I wanted it to. Did it go as well as planned? Yeah, we executed it as well as we wanted to. Was it received as well? No. But to say something's a failure it's not fair. It's just not fair.
By the way, 5 stars on the light bulb. He gets 5 stars.
Right? 4 3/4 anyway. Because he made this one right here round. So it's on me like I'm the next influencer.
Speaking of the other side of this,
I'm going to do a tutorial for manscaping.
That's what we need. Gosh, we need
You're welcome.
I cannot wait. Let's talk about, was there more to do with Nakamura at this time?
Oh, yeah. 100. Look, Nakamura right now, he was just the Intercontinental Champion not long ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's what everybody lives and dies on the moment. Right now, Nakamura got beat. Oh, my God. In 2 months, Nakamura will be back on time. You know what I mean? It's just, people just hang on to stuff like it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right, guys.
It's a very American thing of us to think. Would Nakamura go further? Would he be bigger now if he had an English-speaking manager?
I don't know. Look, I loved, and I'm not even kidding, I loved him speaking Japanese and putting subtitles on there. Yeah. And that may be very American of me too, and insensitive. And if it is, I apologize. That's not what my intent. But I like that. I love when they do it with the ladies of today. You know what I mean? The Io Skies and the Asukas. Like, I think that's cool, letting them speak in their natural tongue where I don't know what words they're saying, but I get it. You know what I mean? She's lambasting somebody. He's going in on somebody. And so I don't know. I mean, it is a very domestic thing to say. And I know we as in America tend to think domestically a lot, but there's a whole world out there. And so to shut any of them out is a bad business strategy.
Well, let me let you speak in your native tongue. Do you want to tell everybody about RecTech, my buddy?
You know what? Casio, you son of a bee sting. Let's talk about RecTech. An amazing company that offers wood pellet grills fueled by all-natural hardwood pellets, along with other outdoor lifestyle products such as coolers, apparel, grill accessories, and more. Look, with grills ranging from $399 to $3,000, RecTech has grills for every lifestyle and every budget, with a key focus on flavor, convenience, and versatility. Their factory direct pricing eliminates the middleman and all grills ship free. Plus, all RecTech pellet grills are made with high-quality stainless steel and are built to last a lifetime. The RT700 comes with a 40-pound pellet hopper, 702 square inches of cooking space, the PID Wi-Fi controller, and a 6-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. You can bake, smoke, sear, grill, and even dehydrate on the grill, all with the push of a button. And that's why those in the know choose RecTech. So it's time to toss that tasteless gas grill, messy charcoal grill, or even that overhyped brand name grill aside and join an elite wood pellet grilling family. By focusing on flavor, convenience, and versatility, RecTech sets the new standard in grilling. Visit rectech.com. That's RECTEQ.com. Use the code BJames to get 5% off site-wide. That's 5% off their top-notch wood pellet grills, one-of-a-kind RecTech icer coolers, chef-tested rubs and sauces, accessories, merchandise, everything at 5% off. That's rectech.com and use the code BGJames. Excuse me, it's not BG James. And use the code BJames.
Bobby Roode pinned Dolph Ziggler in 11 minutes and 29 seconds.
And an ab off. It was an ab off.
The ab off, baby. That is, abs are off on this podcast.
Hey,
There's
Bobby,
no
yeah,
abs.
they did that intermittent fasting and stuff, and Bobby Roode would drink coffee with nothing but butter in it because it was keep his body in some kind of
now, I'm all for
mode or
butter on
something.
anything. But
Hey, right? Not in my coffee though.
no,
I'll take it on my grits. I'll take it on my farina if you want to be crazy about it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Is that
that's old school?
A French word for a finish?
Farina. Yeah. I hit him with the flying farina.
I think that was my first dog. We had a farina.
Decked him. Damn near killed him. Hey, okay. For real, how much more of this show are we going to talk about? Just y'all go watch it.
2 matches. Y'all go watch it. Tell them we sent you too, so we get credit.
Yeah. When you when you order the peacock, tell them I sent you. D-O-double-G.
Peacock.
Peacock, I said.
That's my favorite find. That's
sometimes,
my favorite pie.
I say theater too.
Pie.
Yeah.
Oh, so my grandma used to make the best peacock pies. All right, 2 matches. All right, Bobby Roode, Dolph Ziggler. Yep. These 2 have been tearing it up on the house shows. According to the Observer, this just felt like another match. They traded near falls. Ziggler mocked Shawn Michaels by tuning up the band and going for a super kick. Roode sidestepped it and hit the spine buster. Ziggler went for a rolling reverse cradle. That's your favorite move.
That is mine. In the Kama Sutra.
Roode reversed it and grabbed the trunks. Ziggler reversed it and grabbed the trunks even harder. Roode reversed it and grabbed the trunks even more than that and got the pin. After the match, Ziggler laid Roode out with the zigzag 2 3/4 star. It's funny because years later, they being a really good tag team together. But is this kind of tough since it's heel on heel at this time?
Yeah, of course. And look, Dolph's a great guy. Anytime you can throw Dolph a bone and get him on a pay-per-view or anything, you try to do stuff like that. And these guys did have great chemistry. They were killing it, and it was a great match. But it was just another match. There wasn't a whole lot of story to it. It was more of, hey, these 2 guys we really like. Let's try to have a hell of a match and see if we can't have them cheat. One of them cheats and wins. You know what I mean? And so, thinking.
All right, here we go. Kevin Owens beat Shane McMahon.
Holy Toledo.
8 minutes and 42 seconds in a Falls Count Anywhere Hell in a Cell match. They brought outside the cell right away. Owens ran away and jumped onto the cage and tried to hold the door shut so McMahon couldn't get in. McMahon kicked the door in his face and got in. Owens was grinding Shane's face into the cage, and they shot Shane's sons at ringside laughing about it. Thank God Jim Cornette wasn't backstage, the Observer says.
Oh.
Shane hit a tornado DDT, but missed the shooting star press. He set the table up in the corner of the cage. Owens went for a cannonball into the corner, but Shane moved, and Owens went through the table. Shane hit him twice with parts of the broken table. Shane did the coast-to-coast drop kick into a chair into Owens' face. Shane then told the ref to open the cage door. The ref wouldn't do it, So Shane got bolt cutters. That was awkward because it took him a while to break the lock.
Yeah.
Owens crotched him in the cage door and started grinding his face into the cage again. Owens put Shane on the table, climbed to the top of the cell.
On that second one, we did not cut away to his children.
No, yeah, we had got enough of the children by
they
that point.
They were when we cut to them the first time, they were out of character.
Let's don't go back again.
Do not go back to the children.
They went to the top of the cell. Owens got scared to jump. He went over like he was going to do it and stopped every time. Shane got off the table and climbed up. They were fighting on the top. Thankfully, the roof of the cage was secure because if they had done a Mick Foley accident, both would have broken their backs or necks. Shane gave Owens a Russian leg sweep, a body slam, and a suplex on the top of the cage. Owens gave him a senton. Owens powerbombed him to the top of the cage. They ended up climbing down. Shane headbutted Owens, who fell from about the 10-foot mark on the side of the cage through a table. This is a hell of a match.
Yeah.
Shane put him on the table and went for an elbow off the top of the table when suddenly Sami Zayn appeared and pulled Owens off the table. Shane crashed through the table, and Zayn pulled Owens to the top of Shane for the 3 count. Shane went out on the stretcher to end the show. 4.25 stars. Shane McMahon is the man.
And from what I heard, Meltzer said if Shane would have died, he would have given it 4.5 stars. But it turned out he was all right. And so, nope, 4.25. But look, I thought that was also the introduction of Sami Zayn and Kevin's. You know what I mean? They had a relationship, and so yeah, this was the beginning of something big, I thought. And you said it. What a match, man! They beat the fire out of each other and took incredible risks. And thank God nobody got permanently injured. And we walked away singing, "Hey, hey, let's wrestle another day."
We mentioned
go by the bay, and never mind.
Okay. I wanted to see where it went.
Yeah, no, it just kind of petered out.
Okay.
It's best if you just let me finish, you know.
The shot about kids, Shane's laughing. Do you remember that backstage? Is everybody laughing with it?
I do, like, yeah. Oh. No, you go like, oh, God, cut away. But, you know, like they're literally 1 minute looking, watching, and then one of them says a joke and you do the camera cut. You know what I mean? So it's imperfect, and you can't kind of, you get caught that way a lot if you're going to do a crowd shot.
How much work goes into putting this together between agents, cameramen, the guys themselves, and how much terror is it sitting next to Vince while the sun's hopping off the top of it?
It is terrifying, I can tell you that much. But it's terrifying for me because I'm friends with Shane. And so to see him doing this stuff, and Kevin Owens too, for that matter, to see them doing these high-risk stunts, for lack of a better term, is scary. And then you're just thankful it's over, and you go, holy crap, you got huge cojones, and I would never do that.
You mentioned we've introed Sami now and his friendship with Kevin at the time, and as much as no one knew he could be a heel, he's a hell of a heel now.
Yeah.
This was a great intro into him and what he could do.
I agree, and I think it's you know, look where he was then and look where he is now, and but both Kevin and Sami's longevity and professionalism speaks volumes. You know what I mean? They're still here and they're still playing at a really high level. And so kudos to those guys for that.
Before we get to some fan questions, let's hear from our buddy Conrad Thompson. He wants you to save with Conrad.
If you could change one thing about your home, what would it be? A new kitchen, a new master bath, maybe put in a pool. What if you could do it with no money out of pocket and cheaper monthly payments? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.
Just a couple quick fan questions, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
All right.
Austin Williams tweets us at You Didn't Know Pod, at Bryan R.D. James, at The Casio Kid. How confident were you in the New Day and Usos having a tag team Hell in a Cell match, knowing not many tag teams have ever been in this type of match? We just established it was the first one.
Yeah, no tag teams have ever been in that.
We touched on it. That was your trust in those guys.
100%. Look, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I could do anything with these two teams and it would be gold. It's almost the equivalent to Ron Killings. Whatever you put these guys in, it's going to be great. And so I trusted them wholeheartedly because I didn't know how the match was going to turn out, but I knew what they were going to put into it. And so I was excited to see the outcome.
Brad Stanton wants to know. He says, Jinder is a great heel character, is in phenomenal shape. You think he can ever get back into the championship picture?
Yeah, honestly, I think he can. I mean, he's not getting anything but better in the ring and wiser and smarter about how to work smart. And so, yeah, I think there's no reason in the world why he couldn't be a champion again.
Well, there you go, buddy. We did it. We did a little Hell in a Cell 2017.
Well, I tell you what, I feel like we literally went back in time and spent the whole month up to Hell in the Cell just talking about it.
We got to set the tone.
Yeah, well, we set the tone.
Setting in back in time.
Gonna go back in time. Chopping broccoli.
Look at you, by the way.
Yeah.
I had a sound effect ready that I was going to surprise you with.
Yeah.
I didn't even need it because you were clear of mine and knew all about all of this. How about that?
What? Wow. No, you used the bong thing one time. Let's cut me saying bong.
Well,
you used the sound effect one time. And so, and rightfully so, but I felt like this is a time when I was on my game in life, on my game in the game of professional wrestling, sports entertainment. And I'm happy about it. And so I'm happy to relive it. You know what I mean?
Awesome stuff, man. Another one in the books. Thanks everybody for watching along on YouTube or listening wherever you're listening. Ad-free shows or wherever
really
it
love
is.
for that Indian population of YouTube viewers to.
We're gonna get
rise.
it to 2%.
If we could get it to 2, man, we're gonna have a party. And boy, you aren't paying for anything, Casio. We are going to Cancun.
I can't wait. I cannot wait, and we cannot wait for y'all to interact with us. Let us know what you thought about the episode today. Like, comment, subscribe wherever you're at and wherever you're consuming it, my man. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Casio.
How about we get back together and do it again next week?
Hey, we should. And I'd love for the fans to keep coming up with ideas for what they should be called. Viewers and listeners of the
Pod Pound. We
got Pod Pound, which
Dog
is
Pound,
I love Pod Pound. I think there's something there, but I don't want to stop there. I want to hear your thoughts and hear your concerns about Casio. And I don't know. I don't know. He's just a weird dude.
I'll send you those messages. You know? I've screenshotted them. I got their concerns about me.
Those were pictures of, and I don't want to talk about it again. Does the name Omos mean anything to you? Okay, let's get out of here before I get in trouble.
For Casio Kid, for Road Dogg Bryan James, that's another you didn't know in the books. And if they don't like it, what do you think?
I got 2 words for you. Subscribe now. I don't know.